Well, Ben Ransom is with us in the studio this morning. You are Mr. Manchester City. Would it be fair to say that relief would be the right word for City supporters, for the club's hierarchy, that he is set to stay?
Mike Wedderburn might have a thing or two to say about that. But look, I think so. I think it's a great bit of news for the hierarchy. They have been absolutely desperate. Let's make no mistake about that, for Pep Guardiola to stay. Remember when Ruben Amorim was appointed as Manchester United manager, there was a lot of speculation at the time about whether he would be following Hugo Viana into Manchester City, and the club were adamant, look, we've not spoken to Amorim, we've not spoken to anyone else. Pep Guardiola is our number one target to be the manager next year. The fact they've been able to convince him that the challenge is one that he wants to continue with, to carry on with, it's really important for that stability, because Djiki Begiristain, long-time mentor, friend, played together at Barcelona, part of that hierarchy there when he was moving into management, that built the club in many ways for Pep to come in as the manager and take over and have this era of success. Him leaving in the summer does leave a huge void at City. So for Pep to be able to seamlessly continue to stay loyal to the club that he loves so much, the people at the club, obviously there's the charges. Currently, the Premier League hearing ongoing, more than 100 charges City facing. Pep has been quite adamant that he has been told by his superiors the club's done nothing wrong. But part of his motivation surely will be to stay and make sure that he handles that transition, whatever comes out of those. Do
you think he's motivated by the charges at all, and what might not happen, whether he's been given a steer by the club's legal team as to what they think could happen and what the punishment could be if they're found to have done anything wrong?
I think that certainly from Pep's point of view, he has always maintained that the people have told him that everything will be fine. They've not done any wrongdoing in the sense that they're going to get a huge punishment that would, or anything that's going to denigrate from what he's achieved on the pitch. And for Pep, let's not forget, his focus has been on that pitch, what he's done in the time he's been there. The fact they've won 6 of the last 7 Premier League titles, the fact they've broken so many records. I mean, they've been absolutely remarkable. And some of the records on the wall there, I mean, are just ridiculous. These are just Premier League records. Most points in a season. That 2017-18 season, 100 points. No one's ever come close to that. What he's created on the pitch has been absolutely amazing to watch unfold. And from Pep's point of view, I think he is very confident that the club will be in a strong position next summer. He's very confident that he is putting his faith in the right people. And I think the pull to take him back to Barcelona, Catalonia, his family, the pull to end his love affair with Manchester City has not been as strong as his hunger and appetite and motivation to go again.
Well, that's the key word then, I guess, motivation. You mentioned everything, those credentials behind us. What is it that you think does motivate him?
I guess for Pep, it's about winning more trophies. It always has been. He knows he's judged on that. He talks about, I mean, the records are one thing. I've asked him many times at different points in his career about plenty of these different records. I've asked him about what it means to him. And while he loves the accolades, he is all about just working with his players. He loves being in the dressing room with them. He loves coming up with game plans to try and take the team to another level to win these trophies. I mean, obviously winning the Champions League, the treble, was remarkable, wasn't it? That was something that was the one outstanding thing on his CV at City. To do that in the way they did was quite magnificent. And I think the motivation and the hunger will come from the fact they're in a bad place at the moment. They've lost 4 games in a row. It's the first time as a manager he's ever suffered 4 consecutive defeats. He will be desperate to turn around to all the naysayers, avenge those defeats, City to kick on and show him again that ruthless side that they bring, particularly once we get past Christmas and into the new year.
You mentioned the run of form that they're on. Do you think come the summer, whether he turns it round or not in terms of trophies, that there is quite a bit of a rebuilding job to do for him?
It certainly feels that way. I think this summer, the club and Pep were always adamant that they were not going to be rushing into the transfer market when the team was so successful, when they had a lot of the building blocks in place. A lot of the speculation was whether they would move in the summer for a backup to Rodri, for example, because he's the one player that you'd feel, take out that team, they're weaker. Well, they couldn't have predicted the injury, of course, but you look at that midfield now and you think they're probably a little bit light. And then you look at the players coming to the end of their contracts. And in the summer, there are some big names potentially leaving. Kevin De Bruyne, a man who has been integral to what Pep has achieved across all of the teams he's built. He was the only player that was there before Pep took over, essentially, that's been through this whole journey with him. And he has been struggling with injury. He's out of contract. How do you replace De Bruyne? I mean, that's a huge question. Ilkay Gundogan's come back for a second spell. Yes, it's not been quite as successful as the first, but obviously an important player. And Scott Carson. But then fast forward to 2026, that's when we've got really big names. Ederson, the goalkeeper that has transformed City, transformed the way we look at football in the country. Stefan Ortega is deputy. They're both out of contract. That's a huge decision, because do you stick with one or the other? How do you convince both to possibly stay? Ederson obviously linked with the move in the summer. Kyle Walker, John Stones, trusted lieutenants, players he loves, loads of experience for England. They're out of contract in 2026 as well, and Bernardo Silva too. These are big players. It's going to take an evolution, if not a revolution. And how many transfer windows will that take for City to build what will be, I think, Pep's fourth big team?
Ben, thank you very much indeed for the moment. First time we'll hear from Pep Guardiola himself is on Friday when he gives his thoughts in a pre-match news conference. You can see it live, Sky Sports News from 12:30. Next up for City on the pitch is Tottenham in the Saturday night football, a game that has troubled them in recent years, and you can see it 5 o'clock on Sky Sports Premier League.